My name's Carson. Welcome back to Thrifty Garage. In today's video, we'll be doing a 500-hour review on this 2021 Bobcat E35. As of a couple months from now, we'll have owned this for 2 years, and we're on track to put on about 250 hours per year. We'll kind of talk through ownership, the good and the bad, and everything in between. Currently, the guys are out working on a dirt job. As you can see, we're pulling from our spare dirt pile here, and we've got our 24-inch bucket on right now. One of the modifications we made to this bucket was adding this cutting edge. This is a spare cutting edge from our SnowMix snowplow. Welded that on the teeth there, and that has worked great. And we've actually upgraded one of our trenching buckets as well. We'll show you the rest of our attachments here towards the end. But one of the must-haves with this machine was the thumb, and that has been excellent. This thumb attaches up on the main arm there, and we also added, or I think it came with, the auxiliary hydraulic on this side. So we've got a loop there, and then another hydraulic right up there. And that has been very key, and we upgraded the power tilt, and that has been an awesome feature. This machine is a long arm, and it's kind of got a short reach, so I'm glad we went with the long arm. If we had a short arm, I'd be a little bit unhappy. As far as the undercarriage, everything's gone well here. These tracks are a little bit narrow compared to a wide track skid steer, and they do rut in pretty deeply in a yard, and the track speed is a little bit slower, but that's not the intent of this machine. So it does what it needs to do. It's just not getting anywhere fast, and you might leave some ruts, and you might tear up the yard a little bit. So we keep walking around. We did put our logo up here. That was a pretty cool upgrade. And let's climb in and take a look. We've got our service schedule here. We'll go ahead and go through that in a minute. This is the older display screen, so not as nice as the newer ones. Go ahead and enter our password. Once you hit enter there, then you can start up the key. You can see we got 565.2 hours. Nothing too crazy there. Inside the machine, everything's worked well. When we did first get this machine, these knobs were really loose, and I realized that there's a set screw back here, and once I tightened that set screw, never had any other issues with that. So that was a little bit annoying at first. Tighten those up, those work great. Buttons and knobs and everything work right there. HVAC system works good. This filter is a little bit poor placement, gets dirty, and could be better in that front. This front windshield, as you can see here, our wiper is pretty jacked up right now. Taking this door up and down, it always snags that right there. So we'll go ahead and, so you can see it pops in. So going up, and then when you're coming back down, obviously guys have snagged this a couple times and really mangled on that, but you kind of just have to push it out. It's got this little ridge right here. I never understood where it's supposed to ride at, if it's supposed to be outside there or what, but wiper doesn't get used a whole lot. If the window's dirty, we usually pull it open. As far as operation, we've got our hydraulics here, we've got our hydraulics here. Let's go ahead and start this up. Okay, so obviously simple basic operation. We've got our blade down there, up and down. Does not have a tilt blade. We've got our rabbit speed right here, and that is indicated by a rabbit right there. We've got our bucket curl in and out. We've got our arm up and down, and then we've got our thumb. On this other side, we've got our boom arm left to right, and if we press and hold this button, it will beep. And then if we press and hold this hydraulic, it will operate the other hydraulic function. So we don't have it currently hooked up. I don't want to pressurize the system, but if we had the power tilt hooked up, then that would pressurize the power tilt. And if you wanted to switch between the two, you just press and hold that, and then you could still move this arm. With the power tilt on, you could move your thumb. However, the thumb and the power tilt don't work well in conjunction together, so that doesn't always work out. Left here will swing the cab, and then out will extend the boom out, and then in will extend the boom in. Pretty simple there. We've got our hydraulic exchange pins here. We hit the unlock and hold it for about 5 seconds, and it will release the bucket, and then you press it in and lock it. I'm meaning to do a separate video on how to do this, and one of these days I'll get around to it, but at the moment we don't have a video on the hydraulic exchange. It's not too difficult, but it is a little bit of a process, so you do kind of need to figure that out. Again, on this side we've got the wipers. We got wiper on and windshield washer fluid and wipers, and that's all we got on this side. On this bottom side here, we've got our horn, and on this bottom side here we've got an auxiliary button for detent. I don't know if I've ever even used that. Anyways, over here we got the radio. We do have an auxiliary port, which is a little bit gimmicky. It does work, but it's a little bit of a pain in the butt. You can plug in right here for your auxiliary audio, or that, I don't know what that is. That's auxiliary audio in. Sound system's okay in here. This is your motion alarm, delete. So if you are in motion, you can push this button and it will override that and stop. Every time you stop and change directions, it will start beeping again. You can press and hold that again. Obviously we got our throttle here. And we've got our on-off key right here. We've got a cigarette lighter, and we've got our charger cables in here. Use this for the GoPro, use this for the iPhone. And then just a simple key right here, on and off. And then with the HVAC, we also have air conditioner. When that's turned on, that will kick that guy on. We've got our slider windows here with multiple different settings. Also a slider back here. We've got the speaker up top there, 2 in the back, and a light back here. Little sunroof up here to see what's above you, power lines. And obviously your door, we've got a release right here. So if that's locked into place, push this guy down. We've got our latch inside and our latch outside. This door, when it's open, does cover the fuel. And when you are fueling, if you turn the key on, it will have a beep inside that you can hear go off and alert you when you're getting close to full. So that is really nice. Let's go ahead and talk about service. Okay, here is our service schedule. Dealer printed this off for me. Every 100 hours, you need to clean the spark chamber on the spark arrestor for the muffler. And then we did a video on the 50-hour service on this machine. You can see here we've got our fuel filter, we've got our oil filter down there. It's hard to see. There you go. Got some light in there. Oil filter down there. Got our oil dipstick check right there. We've got our air filter right here, easy to get to. So all those are part of your 50-hour service. In the first 250 hours, travel motors, final drive, replace fluid. So we did that on our 250-hour service. Get these 3 bolts vertical, loosen the middle one, loosen the bottom one, drain it out, and then add more fluid into there. I believe each side takes a quart. I think that's 80-90 weight, but check the previous video if you're in question, or check your manual. 250 hours or every 12 months. Battery, check cables, connections, electrolyte level, and add distilled water as needed. Fuel filter, replace the fuel filter. So we are at the 500-hour service. We are due for a fuel filter. We are due for an oil change. We're due for a final drive. Check fluid and add as needed. I guess it's saying every 250, just check that. We'll probably go ahead and just change that. It was pretty dirty on our first 250. So here we are, engine oil and filter every 500 hours. So we're due for that. Engine air filters, air system, engine cooling system. Here we've got our coolant level. We are on the minimum setting, so we could tap that off a little bit. Drive belts, alternator, air conditioning, check the condition and replace as needed. Hydraulic filter, case drain filter, hydraulic reservoir breather cap. So I think we need to buy a reservoir breather cap. We need to do our case drain and a hydraulic filter. And then we'll show you here these in just a second. Alternator and starter, check conditions. HVAC, clean housing and coils. So the case drain filter is underneath right here. This whole floor mat comes up. We did a YouTube story doing the 250-hour service, so you can see us replacing the case drain filter. It's just underneath here, super easy to get to. As far as service goes, we can lift up this panel as well. Got this little clasp right here. This guy goes up. This locks it down. We can also take off this panel to service as well, and this one. So for the hydraulic filter, which is right here, we did that 250 hours. Both those things need to come off. Pretty easy. We clamp off these hoses, unscrew that, and replace that. Battery is down here up front. You can see we're really dusty and dirty up in here. Here is our hydraulic fluid level. So we are within range on that. And there's our filter cap, so that does need to be replaced. And then every 1,000 hours we need to adjust the engine valve clearance. Travel motors, final drives, replace fluid, and then hydraulic fluid and filters. And then every 24 months, coolant, replace the coolant. So we probably should replace the coolant as well, but I'm not too concerned about that personally. Okay. Issues I have personally had with this machine. Haven't been too many. I will say the 50-hour service was pretty frustrating, and I hope that the 500-hour service goes better. It wasn't too bad at 250, so it shouldn't be bad, but this filter right here was on tighter than tight. It was nearly impossible to get off. Check out the video if you haven't, my 50-hour service. That was extremely excruciating. That was really frustrating. Another frustrating thing was the belly pan of this whole machine was full of all sorts of garbage from production. So that was really frustrating. As well as, I think one of our first main jobs, we snagged one of these lines underneath here, got bumped by a rock, and it tapped one of those lines and bent it and started leaking, and that was kind of a pain in the butt to replace. The way they had it built right there, the way it's tapped into that front piece, it's basically a hose that goes into that frame, and then it goes into another hose on the other side, and then it goes up. So there's kind of a coupler right there in the middle. In my opinion, a little bit of a poor design. Haven't had a problem since then, but the ground clearance on this is a little bit poor. That was self-inflicted. We had some other self-inflicted damage from employees. One of which was this piece right here, this protector for the ram that goes up here. When we put on the power tilt, that does extend this down about 12 inches, which makes the bucket down further, which gives you the ability to reach in here further. So unfortunately, that employee snagged this and pulled that up. Luckily, didn't bend the ram. Haven't had any issues with that. But again, that's more user error than it is machine error. But things to be aware of. Tracks, like I said, they're a little bit slow. Never really had a problem with them powering up and driving over anything, so not weak in that regard, just a little bit slow. And then lighting is leaves a little bit to be desired. We're really not working in the dark a ton, but if I could upgrade those to LED, I definitely would. I've looked for aftermarket options, haven't really seen a ton. Yeah, I mean, we've kept it greased. You can see we've got some good amount of grease oozing here. We've tried to keep it really well greased. We've tried to keep it really well serviced. And from the cab to the arms to the buckets, changed out teeth a couple times in the buckets. Really, it's been a solid machine. Haven't had any issues with it. We talked in a previous video about our financing on it. We've got 0% financing for 60 months. I believe this started out in the $50,000 range with all the options we have, and I don't know what prices are at right now, but I think when I bought my skid steer, I think prices have gone up I would even assume on this machine probably $10 or $20 or even $30,000. So if I were to do it over again, I still think I should have gotten a 42, but there's a lot of things that are beneficial about having a zero tail swing machine. It is a little bit light in the loafers back here. It'd be nice to have a little bit more counterweight, and with that power tilt on there, it definitely overweighs this machine when you have a full bucket and the power tilt. But really, it's been a good machine. I can't complain. It's done everything we needed it to, and then some. We've done some crazy big walls with it, retaining wall jobs, stone boulder retaining walls, lifting up probably 800 or 1200 pound stones and placing them. I couldn't really even push them that far away from the machine because of how heavy they were. Ended up doing another job with 2 loads of those same stones and ended up getting the E60, and honestly I was surprised the E60 didn't do better than it did. It definitely was more in its working limit, but it wasn't entirely comfortable in that machine either. So this machine's really done a lot for the money. I think we're just shy of $1,000 a month for the payment goes, and yeah, if I could do over again, I'd pay cash for it is what I'd do. But 0% financing for 60 months isn't that bad. I think they give you a cash discount if you don't finance, which I think probably saves you $3,000 to $5,000. So in essence, that's really what you're paying when you get financing. So food for thought. Yeah, it's been a great machine. Use it for landscaping, use it for sprinkler install, drainage, grading. Let's go show you some of our attachments and kind of show you what we have to work with. So we are in the process of building the shipping container shop here, putting the roof on right now. It was a little too windy when we put up that back wall, so we're holding off on the upper awning until we get a non-workable, non-windy day to put this upper awning on. But this will be really nice to park the equipment in. We'll go walk down here and show you our attachments. So when we first picked up the machine, we got it with this 12-inch trenching bucket. It had teeth on there, didn't have the cutting edge. We've since then added that. So we had this bucket, the 24-inch bucket. We found this bucket for a steal on Facebook Classifieds. I think this was about 300 bucks. Well, this is the original bucket. Yeah, so this is the one with teeth. So there's our tooth bucket. There's the cheap one we got for 300 bucks. And then here's our 4-foot grading bucket. This took a little bit of time to come in. We got the power tilt, which is about a $4,000 or $5,000 upgrade. Super useful. Gave us a lot of options. Putting in a paver block retaining wall job. Grading bucket's super nice having the power tilt on there as well. And then the last attachment we got was this ripper. This has been a great little tool as well. Added our company logo on all these. I do wish this ripper didn't have that huge tooth. I wish it matched all of these other Bobcat sized teeth, but that thing's a monster, and I don't think we're ever going to break this ripper with this. We do have one other attachment with this machine. I'll show you in a second, but one thing I will say with aftermarket attachments is these the way they're cut is different than the factory Bobcat stuff. I don't know what it is, but this factory Bobcat stuff, even these cheap used Facebook classified buckets, they're really just precision cut and engineered for the equipment. When you slide on the power, the quick attach, the pins hook right in, no problem. But all these aftermarket ones that are laser cut and aren't from the factory, aren't Bobcat OEM, I always have problems with the pins being in these front ones and then these back pins lining up. Seems like there's always some slop in here. We've got this bar welded on there. I don't know if there's just too much slop in there, up and down, in and out, but the pins never line up, and it always takes a little bit of time to get these pins lined up so that that power tilt can, the Bobcat can push the pin right in here. And last but not least, we've got this RBC, the reversible bucket coupler that lets us take any bucket or attachment and hook it on backwards. So we've got a video entirely dedicated to this, and you can check that out. Again, with these aftermarket couplers, one issue I find is that getting those pins to line up perfectly is a little bit troublesome. But once they're on, it's a very useful tool, and we've definitely used that on several different jobs, and it makes a big difference when you have an excavator in there and you're trying to get close to a house, trying to clean out a planter bed, and being able to turn your bucket into more of a skid steer scoop option and scoop towards the house and pick up that material instead of pulling it towards you makes a huge difference and gives you a little more curl ability, and again, just solve some problems that we have with the Bobcat attachment system not having a typical pin system on these excavators. Well, that's gonna be a wrap on this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully you check out more of our content talking about this shipping container, shop building, and everything else we've got, landscaping, equipment related. Thrifty Garage's channel where we do everyday repairs, how-tos, and reviews. And if you like that kind of stuff, hit the subscribe button down below. If you like the video, give us a big thumbs up. Any questions or comments, leave them behind. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching Thrifty Garage.